Cashier refuses to serve black men, then finds out he owns the entire mall. Evercrest Mall, a huge shopping wonderland famed for its high-end stores and discriminating customers, was humming with activity on a Saturday afternoon. The destination was a posh shopping destination. As consumers rushed from one store to the next, the air was heavy with the aroma of costly fragrances, and there was a subtle murmur of conversation floating through the air. Marcus Johnson, a guy in his early 40s, was casually dressed in a sweatshirt and trousers. He was one of the individuals that was there. Until he entered La Belle Époque, which is considered to be one of the most prestigious jewelry shops in the mall, he was able to blend in with the throng, remaining modest and unseen. The shop featured a dazzling display of precious stones, including diamonds, gold, and many rare jewels. There was a snobbish cashier named Clara Whitmore working behind the counter. She was known for her frosty attitude and harsh tongue. Because Clara took great satisfaction in her role as the gatekeeper of luxury, she often evaluated clients based on their outward appearance before determining whether or not they were worthy of her attention. The moment Marcus reached the counter, Clara cast a peek upward, her brows narrowing as she took in the casual apparel he was wearing. The corners of her mouth turned up into a smirk. It was with a tone that was oozing with contempt that she inquired, "Can I help you?" Marcus responded with a kind grin, unconcerned by her demeanor. "Yes, I'd like to take a closer look at the vintage Rolex in the display case, please." Clara showed her suspicion by raising an eyebrow, which was clear. "The watch is worth $50,000. Is it certain that you are able to afford it?" Her question was stated with a tone that was tinged with a hint of scorn. Softly, Marcus let out a laugh. "I believe that I will be able to handle it. I would appreciate it if you could bring it out for me." With her thoughts racing with speculations, Clara stopped for a moment. Her experience had taught her that he was the kind of person who would walk in merely to look at the items, so wasting her time. "I'm sorry," she remarked in a brusque manner, "but we have a policy that prohibits us from handling high-value items for browsing patrons. If you are serious about acquiring it, I will first want some evidence that you have the finances." Marcus cocked his head to the side, his grin still unflappable. "Proof of funding, please." "This is a brand new one." In that case, then, it was a sleek black card that he drew out of his pocket and placed on the counter once he completed his action. As Clara's eyes darted to the card, she felt a tightening in her throat and a catch in her breath. American Express offered a Centurion card that was only available to those who were very rich and was only accessible by invitation. The blush that appeared on her cheeks was caused by shame, but she soon covered it up with a stern grin. "Please accept my apologies, sir. I will go and grab the watch for you as soon as possible." While she was retrieving the Rolex, she struggled with the keys to the display case, and her hands trembled slightly. While Marcus was examining the watch, Clara's thoughts were racing. Who was this individual? It was the first time she had ever seen him, and he certainly did not match the profile of the typical high-end customers who frequented the shopping center. At the same moment that she was going to inquire as to whether he need anything further, the manager of the shop, Mr. Harrington, stormed over, his face pale and his voice frantic. "Clara?" Under his breath, he snarled, "What are you doing?" When he asked, "Do you have any idea who that is?" Clara flashed her eyes, perplexed. "No, who is he?" With his speech scarcely audible above a whisper, Mr. Harrington moved closer to the speaker. "It's Marcus Johnson, right there. He owns the whole shopping center." Clara's stomach had a sinking feeling in her chest. As her thoughts returned to the rudeness she had shown before, she had a feeling of terror that washed over her. The guy who actually owned the building in which she worked had just been insulted by her. Her profession, which was her means of subsistence, was under jeopardy. In response to the noise, Marcus glanced up from the watch he was wearing. The tone of his voice was calm and collected as he inquired, "Is everything all right?" The manner in which Mr. Harrington carried himself changed to one of the highest respect as he moved ahead. "Sincerely, Mr. Johnson, I am sorry for any trouble this may have caused. There is a newcomer named Clara who is unaware of—" Marcus interrupted him by extending his hand to the sky. "You don't need to elaborate. It is clear to me how things are." With a change in attitude, he switched his attention to Clara. "As you well know, Clara, first impressions aren't always accurate. There is no reason to believe that someone does not deserve respect just because they do not conform to the standards that you have set for them." Clara gave a little nod, her cheeks ablaze with embarrassment. "I am very sorry, Mr. Johnson. I am so sorry. In every way, I was utterly out of line." Following a brief period of observation, Marcus smiled at her. "I accept your apology. Let this, however, serve as a lesson not just for you, but for everyone else as well. Kindness should be shown to all individuals, regardless of who they are. Nobody can tell you who may be standing in front of you at any given moment." As soon as he finished speaking, he returned the Rolex to Clara. "That's okay with me. Would you please wrap it up for me?" Marcus diverted his attention to Mr. Harrington, while Clara delicately wrapped the watch, her hands continuing to make shaking motions. "Recently, I've been considering the possibility of introducing some fresh diversity and inclusion training for that whole workforce. Are you of the opinion that now is a good time to get started?" There was a forceful nod from Mr. Harrington. "Without a doubt, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. It will be one of my highest priorities." Marcus made the purchase, thanked Clara with a warm grin, and then exited the business, leaving behind a staff that was both astonished and humbled at his departure. As Clara watched him go, her thoughts were filled with a mixture of grief and a newly acquired comprehension. As a result of that day, she had acquired a challenging lesson that she would never forget. Marcus, on the other hand, strode around the shopping center with a calm and self-assured demeanor, greeting both the personnel and the customers with a sense of kindness and modesty. It was unnecessary for him to bragging about his money or position, since his deeds screamed more loudly than any designer label could ever hope to. And as he vanished into the throng, one thing became very clear. Genuine power is not about the things that you own. Rather, it is about the way that you treat other people. The personnel at La Belle Époque quickly became aware of Marcus Johnson's visit to the shopping center, and the news spread like wildfire. The tale of the ordinary guy in a hoodie, who turned out to be the owner of the whole property, was so well known by the time the day came to a close that every single employee had heard it. After that, Clara had a great deal of worry in the days that followed. In spite of her best efforts, she was unable to escape the notion that her career was in jeopardy. However, to her astonishment, she was not terminated from her position. Instead, something that was far more transformational started to take place. After a week had passed, an email from the company that was sent to all of the employees was received. Respect, inclusion, and the power of perception is the name of the required training program that was announced by the organization. It was Marcus Johnson personally who signed off on the email itself. During the time that Clara was reading the message, which highlighted the need of treating every client with respect, regardless of their look or background, her heart was racing. It was very evident that her interaction with Marcus was the impetus for this endeavor. The next week marked the beginning of the training sessions. Marcus personally addressed the gathering as employees from each and every business in the shopping center gathered in the big atrium to listen to him speak. Even though he was not wearing a suit, he was dressed in the same informal outfit that he had worn earlier that day at La Belle Époque. He stood on a little stage. It was a serene but powerful presence that he exuded. As he started, He greeted everyone in a voice that was friendly yet authoritative. In this moment, I would like to tell you a tale. A short while ago, I, as a customer, entered one of the businesses that are located here. The fact that I did not dress in a manner that shouted wealthy resulted in my being viewed with distrust and disdain by others around me. To this point, I am not here to embarrass anybody. My purpose in being here is to bring to everyone's attention the fact that each and every individual that enters these doors is deserving of being treated with love and respect. You never know who they are or what they are going through. You never should. A hush fell over the room while Clara was seated in the rear. She became aware of a lump forming in her throat. To continue, Marcus said, "This shopping center is not merely a place to sell things. A community exists here. Also, as members of our community, it is our duty to ensure that everyone is made to feel as if they are welcome. This training program is being launched with the purpose of not punishing anybody, but rather for the sake of growing together." During the course of the training sessions, Clara found herself engaging in in-depth self-reflection on her behavior. She came to the realization that her snobby attitude was not only a means of safeguarding the reputation of the business. Rather, it was a manifestation of her personal anxieties. The world of luxury that she worked in had always made her feel as if she needed to demonstrate her worth in order to be accepted. However, Marcus's remarks had a profound effect on me. As she came to know, true luxury was not about being exclusive. Rather, it was about being exceptional in the way that you treated other people. On a certain day, Clara participated in a group conversation by raising her hand. She acknowledged, with a shaky voice, that she was the cashier who had handled Mr. Johnson in an unreasonable manner. It was my mistake to form an opinion of him based on his outward look. This experience has taught me a lot, and I want to improve my performance in the future, for the sake of not just my work, but also of myself. The trainer smiled and added, "Thank you for your honesty, Clara." After a few period of silence, the room was once again filled with hushed silence. Recognizing our shortcomings is the first step toward improving. This should serve as a reminder to all of us to improve ourselves. The training program did a significant amount of damage to the culture of the shopping center. The staff members started greeting the clients with real grins, and the tales of the outstanding service that they provided started to come out. An elderly lady was assisted by a member of staff in carrying her things to her vehicle. Another individual went above and above to provide assistance to a family in their search for the ideal present for their child's birthday. The environment at Evercrest Mall improved, becoming friendlier and more inviting to people of all backgrounds. In the meanwhile, Marcus proceeded to go to the shopping center without being seen. Every so often, he would sneak into shops, start up talks with the staff, and study how the personnel dealt with the customers. On the other hand, he was treated with courtesy and respect wherever he went this time around. Observing the wonderful developments that were taking place provided him with a sense of joy and pride. Marcus made another visit to La Belle Époque in the evening, just as the shopping center was about to close its doors. A display of timepieces was being reorganized by Clara, who was working at the counter. Her eyes widened in shock as she glanced up and found him that she had been looking for. "Mr. Johnson, please," the woman shouted. "How may I be of assistance to you?" Marcus wore a grin. "It was simply a quick check-in with you. How are things going for you?" The breath that Clara took was profound. "To tell you the truth, sir, it has been a wake-up call. To be a better person, I've been working on seeing people for who they really are, rather than focusing just on what they are wearing. When I think about it, it makes me feel lighter." Marcus gave a little nod. Simply said, it is the point of it all. As a result of treating other people with respect, we also liberate ourselves from the burden of passing judgment on them. Clara, I am pleased with the adjustments that you have implemented. Keep up the good work. Over the course of time, Evercrest Mall became well known not just for the high-end retailers it houses, but also for the great customer service it provides. Inspiring other shopping centers and companies to place an emphasis on respect and inclusion, it became a model for other establishments. Because to Marcus Johnson's leadership and vision, the shopping center had been turned into a place where everyone felt like they were cherished. Clara, on the other hand, became one of the most well-liked workers in the shopping center. She went above and above to provide guidance to newly hired employees, offering her experience as a cautionary tale and a lesson in personal development. Moreover, she was given a promotion, and she was given the position of shop manager at La Belle Époque. However, what is more significant is that she discovered a feeling of purpose that she had never had before. A number of years later, while Marcus was standing on the rooftop of the shopping center and gazing out over the lively atrium below, he had a profound feeling of contentment with his life. The shopping center was booming not just financially, but also as a communal institution. And it all began with a simple lesson that the actual measure of riches is not the amount of money we have, but rather the amount of compassion we have toward other people.